Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to meet to go over everything. They say the time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger and free. I've forgotten how it felt before the world fell at our feet. There's such a difference between us and a million miles. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call, you never seem to be home. Hello from the outside. At least I can say that I've tried to tell you I'm sorry for breaking your heart, but it don't matter. It clearly doesn't tear you apart anymore. Hello, how are you? It's so typical of me to talk about myself. I'm sorry. I hope that you're well. Did you ever make it out of that town where nothing ever happened? It's no secret that the both of us are running out of time. So hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call, you never seem to be home.
About slipped and fell when I went to go sit back in my chair. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the intro music. Um, I did not plan it to be as depressing as it was for this topic. This was kind of like a coincidence. I was looking on X and I did not realize that season 2 basically came out a year ago. So, or it premiered, I guess, a year ago. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, also, hi Matthew, how are you? It's going pretty okay for me. I did a lot of recording over the weekend, and I'm starting to feel like what I usually get when I like overuse my voice. Or not, I don't even know if I'd say overuse it, but I feel like when I talk, I don't use my oxygen the best. So I then like just start getting like ear throat stuff, but not to be worried. It's kind of my own doing. I was doing a little side project. It wasn't related to the channel. It was just something I've been wanting to do for a while now. And I was like, screw it. I need some more stuff for my portfolio. Might as well dabble into, making like a documentary, but it's not like I'm on it's a documentary from what I can do, without being, funded to go to the place that I want to go to and all that. JR says, even if season 3 is surprising, the rewatch for me will be hurtful from season 1 and 2. From what I know of the future, I think not. They did too much damage for me. Yeah, I think I'm in a similar boat. I want to try and talk about the positives where I think the show will probably get some people back, maybe not myself. Where are the strengths of the show even after House of the Dragon season 2, and where I think that they should lean into. House of the Dragon is just that, not Fire and Blood, not at all. Just share the same characters. I agree. From someone that really likes Fire and Blood, at this point, I mean, they were already, in my opinion, two very separate canons in terms of Fire and Blood and the events that happen and how they could have possibly happened in the book and the book universe. The television show is its own thing. I've never really tried to hold it up to, oh, it has to fit every single thing of Fire and Blood, but I would have liked it to be very respectful to the source material. It's not really been that. But yeah, that's a whole another conversation. People say Viserys was good, but I dislike him. Made him and Daemon weak, making empty threats like Viserys in cut out tongues. I actually did like the betrayal of Viserys because in the book, Viserys isn't much of a character at all. He's kind of like a discount Aegon the Fourth. So I personally like what they gave nuance to Viserys in the first season. They made him much more of a interesting character to actually care about. And I think he was one of the better, handled characters of season one, especially when you look at some of the characters that I really liked in season one compared to season two. I think they did a good job with that character. Now, Daemon's a whole different story. Daemon, to me, was not handled well in season one. He was a character that was lacking that depth that was needed. He was very much used as kind of like the entry villain of the show until we got to, the Green Camp, and as they started to take more of that focus away as being like the villain faction, more or less, towards the second half of season one. I will watch the rest of the show, but the whole time I know I will be going, why did they change that? Or, well, that's ruined because of what they did here, here, and here. I don't have much faith. Yeah, I'm kind of the same boat. And we talked about this on me, Ricky, and the Dragon Demands. We all had like a video that we kind of talked about a lot of different things. House of the Dragon was one of them. I'm not sure how much of that is out yet, so you guys will see a little bit more of our discussion, but House of the Dragon is kind of in a weird spot because I think that it definitely will bring back a lot of more casual viewers, your average fan, your average person just tuning in to the show, maybe hasn't read the book, or maybe they just don't care about the book as much. I think that given where season 3 is going to start, it's going to start with this battle it's been leading to since season 2. It's probably what should have ended season 2, but because of HBO cutting down 2 episodes, we didn't get that. So I think what a lot of people, in terms of the casual average fan base, that might have looking at season 2 and going, it was a disappointment, but it wasn't like terrible or anything like that. I think a lot of them will be satisfied probably by the beginning of the season. Now, I will say a lot is resting on the Battle of the Gullet episode, because if they somehow flop that, if it's not that good or it doesn't make a lot of sense, I think House of the Dragon's really in trouble, but I doubt it. The one thing that House of the Dragon has done fairly well is their visuals. Battle stuff has been really good. So I think that, for me personally, the stuff I care about most in House of the Dragon, it's going to be tough for them to pull me back in. And so we'll talk about that a little bit in this stream. Hi April, how are you? Hi Dakota. I have not, so this is one thing, Mats, I have not kept up with any of the House of the Dragon news. I don't know anything about what's being leaked about the show, and that just reflects my overall interest. Like, I'm not overly looking into leaks coming out about it or just any type of news about the show unless it has relation to George R. R. Martin or a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Like a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, yes, I'm still very invested in the news for it. House of the Dragon is just not the same. They have proven through the first 2 seasons that they don't have the will to properly portray the characters and their further actions. I mean, I would agree with that. I think that for the most part, the main characters, the characters they've focused on the most, they haven't really done all that much with them. You look at the characters that had the most screen time in season 2, notably those characters were Aegon, Rhaenyra, Alicent, Daemon, and Aemond. 4 of those characters, in my opinion, almost don't function. Like, Rhaenyra is the only one that I think can be functional, and based on what happens in the Battle of the Gullet, how Rhaenyra's character should evolve after that point, definitely Rhaenyra can still evolve as a character and be a good character. I just think as of right now, she's been a very stale character throughout season 2. She's been kind of one note. I don't know. It just felt like they've stripped like the actual character of Rhaenyra down to like this heroic, good character version. Again, maybe they're just going for the long haul, making it a much slower descent into what she becomes. Maybe they're scared of how stuff went down with Daenerys in Game of Thrones and the backlash there. I don't know. I really don't know. Rhaenyra, for you guys that don't know, is like one of my favorite characters from Fire and Blood, and they have not done her well. Hi, JC. How are you? They could course correct, but I feel they are so far up their asses they won't listen to the people. I don't think they listen to the hardcore fan base. Like, I don't think they listen to George R. R. Martin. As of right now, I think that where House of the Dragon will probably succeed, if it does, is going to be with the more general audience, which is what HBO cares about. HBO cares about what's going to make them money. The hardcore fan base does not make them nearly as much money as the general audience, the general public will. And that's just the truth. So if the battle sequences they have are good, and if the fallout of what that sequence should be, of the first episode probably being the Battle of the Gullet, or maybe the second episode, however they go about doing that, if they want to go right into it or build up to it, whichever, it should bring people back. It's just where do they go from there? Because like I've talked about, I know JC has talked about on my channel and his own channel, there's a lot of events that occur that have to happen in the next 16 episodes, because season 3 is going to be 8 episodes. Season 4 will also, I'm pretty sure it's almost confirmed at this point, will be 8 episodes. There's a lot of stuff in there that they're going to have to cover. How do they put that together? How do they also develop the characters to where they need to be? There's just a lot of question marks right now up in the air. Delroy, yeah, the Dragons. Hopefully they look good. I know people have been disappointed in the past, and I don't know, I don't really focus on the Dragons all that much, but I will say I do really love the design for Melee's. Unfortunately, the one dragon that's not in the show anymore. I do really like Melee's. I like Caraxes. I think they both look great, so, I really hate how they made Daemon weak. Him taking out the third biggest dragon, Dreamfire's rider, Helena, and killing the heir makes Daemon great, in my opinion. It is war, and he is a man of war. I mean, I think the Daemon, in my opinion, is not like a weak character. I think what they were doing with him in season 2 made a lot of sense. It's just the way that they concluded it that made no sense. That's the issue. It can change hard. There's still plenty of room to introduce Maelor. Yeah, April, but Maelor is not the same character now. That's the difference. Maelor is not the character of the book because of how they've changed events. Daemon and Alicent had their characters murdered by the writers, in my opinion, so I dread seeing what they will do with those two. Yeah, so one thing I will say as we head into season 3, those characters, in my opinion, are unfixable. So what do I want to see them be now? Because I don't buy their characters. So what I want, if they're still going to be a major force of the show, which they will be, how do I want them to portray them? I want them to be entertaining characters. Daemon in season 1 didn't really make a lot of sense in terms of how they were depicting him, but at least he was a very entertaining character. Every time there was a scene with, Matt Smith's Daemon in it, he was the main focus of a scene. He just took over a scene. He was really entertaining because you just didn't know what he was going to do. He was a wild card. And, with the Daemon character now, where he just doesn't really function for me, he's not all that entertaining to watch. I want him to just be entertaining. Give us something that's really interesting to watch with the character of Daemon. And the same kind of applies with Alicent. I might not buy into Alicent's motivations anymore, and we'll have to see how that goes down with, things that are going to happen in the future. But maybe explore interesting things with the character, like themes or conversations, or put her with other interesting characters. Even if I don't necessarily care as much about Alicent herself as a character, it doesn't mean, she can't be involved in entertaining scenes. Again, the personal attachment to the character is kind of gone, which is crazy to me because Alicent was my second best written character of season 1. Season 2, they basically tossed it in the trash and lit it on fire. So, we'll see how that goes. They will portray Rhaenyra's fall and eventual fate very poorly. The focus on her have scuttled a lot of the potential of the show. I agree. I talked about it in season 2. This isn't me saying, oh, well, I was wrong, so I'm mad about it. But in season 2, it made the most sense that Rhaenyra should start to fade to the back. You should start seeing other characters, the secondary characters, start to get more time. So characters like Corlys, Jace, Baela, Aegon, which they did do Aegon, so credit where that's due. Aemond, characters, the secondary characters of season 1 should have became main characters of season 2. That's how it should have functioned. It should have functioned where we kind of have a flip-flop. They did the opposite of that. They kept Alicent and Rhaenyra as the main characters, Daemon in there as well. Daemon made sense to be a main character, but they didn't really do that shift. And so when you don't do that shift, and you could have executed that correctly, they just didn't execute it well. And so you kind of come to a result where the character is just not that interesting in the show, and this season anyway, in season 2, and that slowed down the season. I think the battles will be done well, but it's everything after the Battle of the Gullet that I have no confidence in the writers in. Agreed, JC. And I'm still worried even how they're going to execute some of the parts of the Battle of the Gullet, but we'll just have to see. Hi, Kara. How are you? In season 2, the aura and the sparkle of the show were gone. It happened with time with Game of Thrones too, but with this, it's prolonged. Wait between season, the differences are more obvious. I do think that that's true. Like, with Game of Thrones, I think it was different because, again, this is weird for me to comment on because I didn't really get into the Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire fandom until, like, season 5, season 6. So, I will say this. House of the Dragon, it's very apparent that, for one, it never hit really the peaks of Game of Thrones, so let's not even go there. Like, Game of Thrones, its peaks, the source material, the story is better for Game of Thrones, of course, but House of the Dragon was always like, for me, season 1 was like a pretty good show that had its big flaws. Like, there were those big wrinkles, and they weren't like large portions of the show, but they were the little moments. They were like, well, I shouldn't say little moments. They were big moments, but little portions of the episode. So, like, 95% of the episode would be really good, and then there would be a 5% that's really questionable. Like, if you go back to all of my live streams for each of the episodes, you can kind of see that in my titles. Like there's just like very close but no cigar type titles. And that's how I felt all the way through season 1. I thought season 1 was a great foundation, but it had its cracks. And then season 2 kind of piggybacks off the back of season 1. It kind of starts pretty strong. You know, there were a lot of question marks about episode 1. Very similar to season 1. Episode 1 of season 2 and season 1 are very similar. For the most part, really well done, and then you have some question marks in the back end of the episode. Episode 2, really well done. Probably a top 3 episode of the entire season, or of the series, I should say. And then episode 3, you really saw the cracks. Like, yes, it was pretty good up until the end of the episode with the Alicent and Rhaenyra stuff, but it felt much different. Like it was like the first like really, really huge change that like was like, whoa, why do we do that? Like the Melees thing, yes, was bad with Rhaenys in episode 9, but like I could see the idea behind it was like, oh, spectacle, all of that stuff. It's episode 9, so you want this really big moment or whatever. And maybe they didn't trust themselves that the writing would be good enough for that to kind of be the case, so they did something really big. This felt like they've lost the plot. They don't know what they're doing. And then episode 4 came, and, you know, it was a great battle episode. Once again, it was really good. And then that's kind of where things started to fall apart. Episode 5 was very divisive in the fandom. Some people really liked it. Some people hated it. I was kind of in the middle. I thought there were some pretty good things about episode 5 and some pretty things about episode 5. Episode 6 was a good episode. I think that it is not aged well because of the things around it. You know, a mid episode in episode 5, episodes 7 and 8 for me were pretty bad. I liked parts of episode 7, and there were a couple of moments in episode 8 that were good, but I, for the most part, didn't like those episodes. I thought they were by far the worst episodes of both season 1 and season 2. So we kind of ended on a whimper for season 2. A lot more of those cracks are there. A lot of the cracks there. And since we've already experienced it with Game of Thrones and a decline of a show, it's just more evident when you see it with House of the Dragon, because the community's already been burned once. Rhaenyra has been very flip-floppy in season 2, and that's my whole thing, right? Some people have said, well, they are trying to build the Rhaenyra character when they did the Dragon Seeds plot. And my issue with that is because of the character that the show is built, that didn't make any sense. It was illogical. It was like really cruel for some reason, which is something the show hadn't established. It just felt like this random stupidity moment from Rhaenyra that didn't really match her character. Whereas, like, if you said the book character did that, that makes sense. The book version of Rhaenyra would 100% do something like she does in the show, but not in the like in the show. It doesn't make any sense because the Rhaenyra of the show doesn't add that, like, that's not the character they've built. So I don't know. Their response to George pretty much revealed that there is no point to course correct. So yeah, again, another thing that tells me I don't have a lot of faith in season 3 and season 4 is George R. R. Martin. Like, he has seen what they're planning for season 3 and season 4, and he was outwardly saying changes that happen in season 2 have really big ripple effects, and that's going to cause massive problems in the show. I trust George's opinion. I think a lot of the reason he got so flipped out was because of feeling ignored and seeing how they're changing his story. Yeah, Matthew, I think there's a lot of interesting things to see in the show, but I do agree. I think there's a lot of questionable things to see. We'll have to see how the show does it. Aegon is a great character. Yes, Aegon is the best character of season 2. He's the character I am looking forward to the most in season 3. Yeah, and I think one thing, let's talk about a little bit about the positives from season 2. I think season 2 did a lot of the secondary characters well. We just needed to see more of them. So I think, like, the Dragon Seed characters, not Rhaena, but, you know, like the Dragon Seed plot lines with some of those characters, like Hugh and Ulf. I kind of come around a little bit more on Ulf in the show. I wasn't a huge fan when they first introduced the character, but, like, I've gone a little bit, closer on that character. Adam and Alan are really good. I want to see more of those characters. I feel like I say this every time we talk about House of the Dragon. I want to see the Velaryon faction more. Corlys, Adam, Alan, those are the characters I want more of, not, Alicent camping, or more Rhaenyra just doing nothing, or, building a whole season of Daemon and giving him a lot of screen time for it to not really matter. So those are the characters I want to see. I want to see the secondary characters a lot more. Characters like Larys. I want to see more of him. Ironrod. Like, I think the secondary characters are the characters I'm way more interested in than the main characters at this point. I like more of the side plots now. I want to see what they do with Otto, because Otto is still, at this point, Otto and Aegon are the best characters of the show, which is crazy to me. Like, I'm as far as Team Black as you can get, and my favorite characters are both Team Green characters. Like, Team Black, outside of, like, the Dragon Seed characters, have nothing going for them. They just have nothing. They're not entertaining to watch. They're not well written. So, yeah. Dakota, if Alicent and Rhaenyra meet again one episode after they did, that's not what we're going to like to say. Well, we know they're going to meet again. We do know that, so I shouldn't say that. I do hope they course correct, but I don't hold out a lot of hope. Yeah, that's how I feel, because I want the show to do well. It's good for the community. It's good that, for us to enjoy something. But yeah, I'm not going to kid myself or my audience and just have blind optimism. I just don't have that for the show. Favorite event in the dance? Mine is the storming of the dragon pit. Yeah, that's definitely a good one. Oh, that's a tough one. So I don't know if I have a favorite event of the dance. I guess it'd probably be Battle Over the God's Eye. I won't really say what that is, just for people that don't know, but I think that's probably one of my favorites. But I like more of the build up to the dance. I like in Fire and Blood reading how we get to the dance, and like the very early years, like Rhaenyra in her younger years, and getting to where she is by the start of the dance, and Alicent, that dynamic. I like a lot of the build up. I like a lot of like the season 1 territory of the dance. But yeah. How would you react if at the start of the season Nettles appears? JC, I'd be really shocked just because of George, how he's talked about the show. I really don't think they're doing it because of the Rhaena stuff. Like, if Nettles appeared now, Rhaena's whole plotline from season 2 would just be like, okay, well, this is a waste. So, Yeah. I also agree, Jay, on the idea of Daemon not being a general in the war. That's something that they've just failed on. Like, they've not really established how good of commanders of men both Corlys and Daemon are in the show, and that's something that a lot of it I think is more because of season 1, but season 2 doesn't help either. Can't have Maelor. Aegon's sausage is burned. It's true. Maybe he has a kid hidden away like Daeron, who just was not mentioned for basically a season and a half. She shows up and pushes Rhaena off of Sheep Stealer. Yeah, Rhaena goes up to Sheep Stealer, and we just see Nettles approach. It's like, what are you doing? I've been feeding this dragon for how long? And then your pompous, high-born person's gonna come over here and take my dragon? Absolutely not. And then she roasts Rhaena. Rhaena has her like face, and then she just gets smoked right there. That's gonna be the first episode. It's even worse because Ryan Condal said that the kids would start to be the main characters. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, if you go back to, a lot of you guys won't be able to see this because I think a lot of the videos I did about House of the Dragon were member only videos. A lot of my season 2 coverage outside of live streams, they were member videos. So I did like a whole lead up to season 2 starting. I went character by character. And if I look back on those, I guarantee you I was almost wrong on every single one. Like, my general predictions for season 2 were wrong, and that's not why I'm like, oh, I can't believe House of the Dragon didn't do what I wanted them to do. It's just like, I didn't think they were stupid enough to like fumble it as bad as they did. So, yeah, I mean, you guys can still go back to like preview live streams, like for all the episodes. I think up until like, no, I did a preview episode live stream before every single episode. And the season. So I did, when House of the Dragon season 2 was coming out, I did for the first couple episodes. I didn't do this for the last like 2, I don't think, but I did a preview live stream, which was about a 30-40 minute live stream, about an hour, a couple hours maybe before the show started. I did a live stream directly after the show dropped with JC and then Ricky. JC, you kind of came on later if I recall. I remember you coming on for the dark times, like the second half of the season. And then I would do on Monday, I also did like a detailed, this is my review of the episode. So I covered House of the Dragon season 2 a lot, but yeah. I wonder how they will handle the important but less spectacular battles, Fish Feed and King's Road in particular. I think that we will see those battles not as much on screen, just based upon the fact that I don't know if they're gonna have the budget to show all these battles every single episode. Like, we might see something like what we saw with season 2, where we get kind of how it started, maybe the after effects, or maybe we'll see a little bit of it, but maybe not all of it. The Fish Feed, though, I do expect we'll see a good amount of. House of the Dragon has little political drama, more like drama to me. I do agree, Jay. I think in the second season specifically, it kind of felt like we lost some of the politics and things like that. They will merge the 2 battles for Tumbleton, that I can be sure of. Yeah, I think they have to. They just don't have enough time. I hit the like button because I'm a good person. Be like me. That's right. If you want to be like Dakota, hit the like button. Some of you might be like, I don't want to be a Frey supporter. Well, it's too damn bad, I guess. I do not understand the obsession with the friendship of Rhaenyra and Alicent. They were friends for like 3 episodes in season 1, 15 years ago. Yeah, James, this is something that has bugged me so much. So let's just go through this a little bit. So Rhaenyra and Alicent have so many different moments where they break up and their relationship should basically be over. But then the show keeps telling us that that's not the case. So like, let's go through it. So episode 2, we have Rhaenyra and Alicent are still friends, but then Rhaenyra feels betrayed by Alicent because Alicent marries Viserys. Now we know why Alicent had to do that, because of her father, but still, like, that's a pretty big betrayal. Okay, that's one big moment. The next moment is Rhaenyra then lies to Alicent about who she's sleeping with, all that kind of stuff, which isn't necessarily Alicent's business anyway. But then again, you have the trust factor, all that stuff. And then, so then it continues on, and we kind of have like a time skip, right? Alicent has basically at this point made Rhaenyra's life such a living hell that she's having to, moments after giving birth, walk to Alicent just to see if the child's actually Laenor's. And it gets so bad that Rhaenyra has to go live on Dragonstone because Alicent has turned the entire King's Landing public against her. It is so bad that Alicent is willing to basically call all of Rhaenyra's children's bastards, publicly shaming her, all that kind of stuff. They then, like, make up for, like, a couple minutes on screen, and then immediately following this, one of Alicent's kids literally kills Rhaenyra's child. Okay. Then, Alicent has her own grandchild killed in the next episode because of the actions that just occurred with Blood and Cheese. Regardless if Rhaenyra was behind it, we know it wasn't. Her camp, her husband, literally orchestrated the death of her grandchild. How are they still friends? Like how? Like, and this is what bothers me. It's like, okay, Rhaenyra is willing to, in episode 7, have all these innocent people slaughtered for the Dragonseed stuff, but yet she's not brutal enough to kill Alicent, one of the people that is directly responsible for the death of her child and everything that's happened in her life. Her also losing her daughter. We didn't even talk about that, but a lot of the reason she loses her daughter can be attributed to Viserys' death and the betrayal of the Greens. Like, it fundamentally does not make sense why they keep flirting with this idea that these two characters are so much closer than they are. Like, it just, I don't know. If they do God's Eye any different than in the book, it will be the death of the show with the fandom. Dakota, I think they're going to change it. I can already see, based upon how they were building up season 2, I think they're going to change it. They don't really show the commanding of troops in either show, and it's kind of disappointing. I want to see why Robb is considered a good leader, not just have it implied. You know what's crazy, Dakota? If you want to think about all the people that we've seen throughout both shows, the only time we really get a good, like, scene of a commander with their troops is actually Renly. You think that's kind of crazy? Like, think about it. In season 2, you have Renly, and he's like talking to, I don't remember who he's talking to in the show. It's just some random guy, and he's like asking about his foot and stuff like that. We never see that really. Like Robb he's a good tactician. We don't ever see him really interacting with, like, his soldiers, for instance, I should say. But yeah, that's a good point, Dakota. That's a really good point. We don't really see Robb's leadership in the books either. Yeah, Mats, I might have a video coming out this week that I addressed that a little bit. I made a video for this week on Robb and why I think he should have been a POV, because I think he should have. I think Robb should have been a POV, but I get why he wasn't. Daemon has no agency or authority in the show. He got punked off by the Tully kid, and all his actions are based off of a convenient Game of Thrones vision. Exactly. And so many people, again, I don't blame you if you like this, but so many people liked that stuff for Daemon in episode 7. Like, him getting bullied by the Tully kid. And it's like, yeah, this is cool for Oscar Tully, but are we really going to sit here and say that Daemon, especially the character of season 1, is just going to take it from Oscar to, like, that's one of the things I hated. It's just like, it felt like Daemon was just completely neutered and any of his actual, like, development was just gone. So I don't know. My favorite moment from the dance is when Alicent bursts through from the pages of Fire and Blood and she and I go out on a nice date. Yeah, I remember reading that, JC. It's going to happen, though. For season 3, it'll happen. Dakota, how long have you been a mod? I don't know if you can see that, but I'm actually curious. Because Dakota, you were a mod before you were a member, I'm pretty sure. So, can I see how long you've been a mod? Channel activity. Can I see? I can see all the comments you made. I can't see when I modded you, though, it looks like. How unfortunate. I wanted to see how long you've been a member. Or I wonder who is the person that's still active, is the moderator that's been here the longest. That's something I wonder. Um. Oh, God, by the way, guys, I'm really behind in chat, so that's just how it's got to be. I try to read as much chat as I can, and that unfortunately leads to me getting behind in chat. I was only there for the last 2 episodes. It was a lot of fun, though, because House the Dragon was pretty bad. Yeah, JC, yeah. You know what? I always give Ricky crap for this. It was so funny because when we did our reviews, so we would switch each episode, and by the end of it, Ricky didn't care anymore. He was just like, let's just do it on your channel and just be done with it. And I was just like, okay. But I always had the good episodes. So I had episodes 2, 4, and 6 before they just started going purely to my channel. We did both of these, episode 7 and 8, on my channel. Ricky had episode 1, 3, and 5, which was like, damn. But yeah, it was a good time though. I do, regardless of the way I felt about House of the Dragon, I did enjoy the late night streams. They got chaotic. Only way to fix season 3 is have Nettles and Cannibal the Dragon appear. Of course, Cannibal. Of course. Cannibal, if they show, I'm not even sure if we'll see Cannibal in the show, but if we do and you don't like the appearance, what will you do? Yeah, Matthew, I was not a fan of the end of episode 7. Okay, so I know, Matt, this is an interesting topic. I know a lot of people don't like that Rhaenyra is going to be wielding a sword or whatever. I actually think it makes a lot of sense. Now, hopefully she doesn't do any combat with it. Like, I hope she's not like Arya Brienne stuff. But if she's like, it makes sense to me if like, oh, somebody's trying to train her to fight, or like she holds one, because it makes a lot of sense based on her character. Like, she has been constantly fighting with the norms of women in the society, and a big influence that even in the book that I've always compared her to is a part of her is like Visenya. It makes a lot of sense, but you know, I agree, Jay, on your ideas on Alicent and Rhaenyra's relationship. What is the logical reason Alicent stays in King's Landing after she discovers Aegon is gone? It's a great point. Maybe she won't. I think they're going to change it. I really think they're going to change Alicent's like traditional arc. I think Alicent and Otto's arcs, which kind of have already been changed, will be different in the show. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I'm just interested to see where they go with it. Hey, we can definitely say House of the Dragon Season 2 is better than The Last of Us Season 2. Well, I've never played The Last of Us, and I've never watched the show. So, yeah. I'll take your word for it, Dakota. What a bad miss that we didn't get an immediate reaction from Team Green after Storm's End. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. It also was weird, and when we talked about this, because I saw the Dragon Demands in chat a little bit. I haven't gotten to it yet, but we did talk about that. It was kind of interesting that they introduce the Stark plotline that's the opening of the season, and then we don't see them until like the very end. That was a really jarring way to start the season, and I'm assuming that was there because they had more of an impact in the season. Because now when you watch season 2, it feels really weird that we skipped to like a couple days after what happens at Storm's End, and then we don't see the Storm's End. We don't see the reaction to Storm's End really at all. Is kind of weird. I do agree. It's because Kondo wants Rhaenyra and Alicent to kiss. Mark my words, we will get that kiss whether it makes sense for the writing or not. Well, I mean, they've already had Rhaenyra is playing with her sexuality with Mysaria and stuff, so it wouldn't shock me. I will say, though, like, I don't know if it's just me. I never felt any type of, like, sexual tension between the two characters in season 1, whether it was the young actors or the older. I don't know. I don't know where that really came from, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff, though. I couldn't be here for the whole live stream, but to continue, voice/Ricky hasn't finished part. Yeah, so Ricky hasn't. That's what I was saying earlier on Dragon Demands in the stream, but we haven't gotten to, because Ricky still has to edit the next part of it, which will be the House of the Dragon part. But yeah, Renly was the best leader, gone too soon. I think Renly is overhated in the community. So They will have Daemon pulled into the Isle of Faces after the battle is over. The God's Eye, I believe that 100% they will tie him further. Well, I do think Game of Thrones will continue to be a focus in the show. As much as I don't want that, because people don't, we don't remember Game of Thrones finishing well, so why do we keep tying it to it? I just don't understand it. I don't for the life of me understand it. You have a television show that had one of the worst finales of all time. Worst endings, biggest falls offs ever. And you keep reminding us of it. And then you bring the White Walkers back and they look like trash. I don't know what that was about. I remember that was something that I just like, I remember vividly when we did our reaction stream to it for episode 8. And I was just like, one of the things I just was like, not only does this plot point make no sense, it also looks like shit. So I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. Rhaenyra and Alicent need to break up. I agree. I definitely agree. I think that will help the show. I see my thing, Dragon Demands, is I want less focus on them. Now, Rhaenyra might be different because we're now getting into some very interesting points for Rhaenyra. So Rhaenyra, I think, is fine now. Like she should still be a main character. I think season 2 they should have kind of peeled her back a little bit. But Alicent, I really feel like should almost like fade out of the not fade out of the show, but she should go from like top 5 screen time to like maybe top 10 screen time. That's how I feel Alicent should go. Yeah, we do need to understand what's going on with Helena, which I don't know if they can explain it because at this point it just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, a glass candle could be involved. Like we talked about earlier, the Stark stuff. You can't introduce that being your opening to season 2 and then we just do not follow it ever again. So I agree. I think there was more planned for that. It just, never developed because of probably the show getting cut episodes. And I scrolled down on YouTube. You know what? Dragon Demands, do you know, YouTube content people in general, why when you're on YouTube Studio and you're trying to scroll through live stream, does like it just freezes and it'll go from like me reading a chat and it'll go all the way to the bottom. It drives me nuts. Aemon needs to arc away from pure anime villain. Hope is that Alice Rivers' love arc will do that. Yeah, I do think that Aemon is in a tough spot because he's already like taken that step. Like we were going towards Aemon being a more interesting and morally complex character, and then all of a sudden the character kind of nuked a whole town off screen, and it was just like, what just happened? So yeah, they do need to explain that a bit more, or just give us that. So I've been a mod longer than my membership by like a month. So you're on. Is that a year, Dakota? You've been a member for? So you've been a member for like. So wait, Dakota, did you start becoming a member like right during House of the Dragon last year? I do think high hopes, Matthew, but I mean high hopes. I think is how we get a better show. I think having good, strong points of where we want the show to go, fix certain things from season 2, or if they can't fix it, like if it's something you can't change, try to make it more entertaining. Like my thing with Daemon is if he's still going to be a main character, which he should be, make him an entertaining character, right? Just make him, if his character doesn't make sense anymore, make him entertaining. Like season 1, he was a very entertaining character, even though I didn't like the way he was characterized in season 1. So yeah, it's either Dakota or Ashley who have OG privileges. So Ashley has definitely been one of my members the longest. She's been a member a long time. There's a running theory that Ashley has kicked out any other women moderators, because any other time when I try to balance the scales, the other woman moderator always ends up like falling off the face of the earth. So Ashley might be like Walder Frey level of sus, but who knows? I do know that. So I had one of my mods always changes their name. But I remember when I modded them, their name was Water. I know you're one of like the very beginning ones. I remember Billy Bob. Billy Bob was a mod for House of the Dragon season 1, if I am not mistaken, which was a long time ago. I think Violet and Evie are both mods. They've been on the channel a long time, but they haven't been mods for that long. I agree, Jay. I think Daemon is one of my favorite characters in the show, or in the book, not in the show. But yeah, I didn't really love the way they did that his character. Emma said they're doing combat. We'll have to see where that goes. That's all I'll say. Hi, PK. How are you? I actually think show Alicent is very interesting. I think the point at which Alicent arrives is built up to and is a very interesting arc instead of just having the character remain the same. So again, PK, I like Alicent. If you asked me, do I like Alicent more in the book or the show? If you would have asked me maybe like up till maybe like episode 5 of season 2, I would have said the show. Like, I like the way that they made her character more nuanced. Now, there were some hiccups at the end of season 1, but I still really liked her character. I think that the character hasn't really, like you said. Oh, thank you, Cannibal, for becoming a member, by the way. That kind of spooked me because I heard it on my speaker over there.
For this night.
Come on, John, become a member of the Night's Watch. Okay. So thank you, by the way, Cannibal, for becoming a member. And I kind of lost my train of thought, but I did like Alicent a lot. I just think that the character already kind of stays the same from season 2. Like, she doesn't evolve all that much in season 2 at all. And I just think that when you have the characters meet in episode 3 and then also do it in episode 8, it loses a lot of its momentum. It loses a lot of its value, because think about how changed characters like Alicent and Rhaenyra would have been if you had waited until maybe the first or second episode of season 3. So the last time they see each other, end of episode 9 of season 1, it's a really interesting point, right? Because they actually end on good terms, and then a lot of things go wrong, right? So you have deaths of children, grandchildren, tons of battles, things going terribly wrong, horrors of war. You go all the way through season 2, you have the battle of season 3, and then you meet the characters again. Think about how changed those characters are. Think about how interesting, because you build up that tension of wanting to see these characters back again. You spoiled that because you did it at every single roadblock. Like, we've already seen Rhaenyra and Alicent after the stuff from Storm's End and Blood and Cheese. They've already seen each other after the Battle of Rook's Rest, and like there's just no momentum to those characters meeting again. Like, they've just done it too many times. So, yeah. April's also a long-time viewer. I know that. I'm glad you guys like The Last of Us. I don't know anything about it. I've heard the video game's really good. So, yeah. Do you think showrunners have allowed some actors to have too much influence over their characters? See, I don't really know, Efferent, because again, I'm not in the room with them. I don't know like what decisions are being made by actors. I know, like, for instance, Emma has suggested stuff about Rhaenyra. I don't know how much control they have over it, so I'd probably say at this point maybe no, because I haven't seen enough to suggest that that's the case. But it's possible. It's definitely possible. Like, I know the kiss thing was mainly brought upon by the actors, and I do think that that's just a weird point. It didn't really feel like it was leading up to that point. Like, I think that they had started to build that relationship, but I think it happened a little too quickly. It's kind of like Kristen Cole and Alicent, where it almost comes out of nowhere at the start of season 2. Like, it wasn't built up to in season 1 at all. So it's kind of the way it kind of felt like about Mizari and Rhaenyra as well. I agree. Think about on Dragon Man's, on your comment on Game of Thrones and the actors about their characters. Biggest one that comes to mind. I did a Barristan video last week. One of the worst things that they ever did in the show is how they killed off Barristan when the actor told them not to, because the actor knew Barristan has a larger role to play, and they killed him for no reason. So I agree. I agree. It just doesn't look natural. Or not natural, how should I say this? Given the standards of what the White Walkers were in Game of Thrones, and you're trying to connect the White Walkers to Game of Thrones, right? That whole Vision stuff, a lot of it was to connect to the Game of Thrones universe. It shouldn't significantly downgrade in the way it looks. It just didn't. It looked cartoony in a way. Like, it just didn't look real, like how you would expect it to look, like realism wise. Like, that's one thing with the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. They looked great. That's one thing I will say about that. I was not a big fan. Yeah, that's the kind of the way I think about this, Matthew, is like the White Walker doesn't look like you would naturally assume it does. It looks like AI. As someone that's been experimenting with AI with thumbnails, I would know, but yeah. Oh, by the way, hi Ashley. I just saw you as I'm scrolling back up, but I'll get to you at some point. We'll see. Do you think that Game of Thrones season 7 and 8 could be redone? I mean, if you're gonna redo Game of Thrones, just redo it after season 4. I mean, season 7 and season 8 are where it got to be at its worst, but I still think season 6 was not good. I think season 5 had its moments, and mainly those moments were because of surprise. They followed the book type material, but you should, if you're gonna redo Game of Thrones, either just redo the whole thing or start like after Storm of Swords. Like, actually do a Feast for Crows and dance. Do you think, so a little bit of spoilers, but do you think the show will end with the Hour of the Wolf, or do they show us what happens to the survivors of the war, Corlys, Alicent, all that stuff? I am really conflicted because we only likely are going to have 16 episodes left. I think we'll get to the point where a certain character comes into power. I'm trying to say this as spoiler-free as possible, and that's where we'll end it. I don't think we'll get as much as conclusion as like we did for a Game of Thrones. I just don't know how you fit it in the episodes we do have. So, yeah, I figured, I just figured I'd ask you, Dragon, because it's really bothered me. I don't know how to like have the chat where it's fixed, and it just doesn't keep moving. It just gets very frustrating. I can also tell how far in chat I am behind because like I asked that like 15 minutes ago. So that's how far behind I am in chat. What did you not like about in season 1? I think Daemon in season 1 was just the villain. I talked about this multiple times. Daemon is supposed to be a morally gray / complex character, more like what he was in season 2. Like season 2, for the most part, up until like what they did in the finale, was a more nuanced version of Daemon. It was him looking at his faults and trying to progress as a person, but he still had those bad things about him, those good things about him. Season 1, like, just looked at Fire and Blood, all the bullet points, right? And they went, okay, Daemon could have possibly been involved in this. Daemon did it. Daemon did this. Daemon did that. Daemon's, like, I did not like that he was not the way George always explains the character. George explains Daemon as he is this morally complex character that has both really good things about him, really bad things about him. It's why a lot of people look at him and go, he's a hero. Other people look at him, he's a villain. Like, that just was never the character of season 1. That's why. Ashley is not a... Okay, true, but Ashley is still the GOAT mod. Unfortunately, Dakota. Maybe, Dragon, maybe. Well, actually, I got roasted in the past because I think I only had... I think back in the day, I distinctively remember for House of the Dragon Season 1, somebody roasted that I didn't have enough... I think it was like women mods or something, so I was just like, screw it. We're going to always have at least 2 women mods that are active. So that started it. And then somebody started taking out whoever had put in that role. So, yeah. Dragon, I don't know. I see, here's the thing. Some of my mods make me question things sometimes. Like Dakota, aka Papa Khan, he's a big Frey defender, and sometimes Sometimes he trolls. Also, Cannibal, let me answer your question. Do we think we will see the death of all the dragons? I think we'll see the death of most of them. I don't think we'll see like the death of like Sheepstealer, for instance. But yes, I do think we'll see of the dragons that die, we'll need to see it. So yes. Also, thank you for becoming a member. Also, I got you, Dragon. I know you're being sarcastic. That's a great question, though, because they don't all die in the book, right? They don't die out during the dance, but it sets that in motion. I think we'll see the ones that do die, I think we'll see, but I do think Sheepstealer won't. Well, you know what? If they're going off the show canon, they could just have Sheepstealer die, but Rhaenyra doesn't die. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see how they're going to end that. So, PK, I think in the book, Team Black obviously has the more interesting characters. They're given more attention to all that. In the show, I think Team Green's more interesting than Team Black. I just think Team Green throughout both Season 1 and Season 2 have better characters. The first Last of Us game is good, and then the second one is poorly paced. So is the show, like, is the first season the first game, and then the second season is the second game, or is it not like that? Okay, YouTube, stop freezing on my chat. This is why I'm so far behind. So I actually haven't watched Quinn's video on House of the Dragon. I actually wanted to, but I haven't watched it yet. I don't think Mazzaria was bad in Season 2. Like, I thought Mazzaria was a lot better written in Season 2. And that's my thing. Like, I don't know if you were in the stream when I said it, Dragon, but I said one of the things I think that the show has going for it is a lot of its secondary characters are well written. Like, characters, for instance, like I think Mazzaria took a lot of leaps up in terms of a character in Season 2. So, yeah, I definitely agree. I guess so. JC has said he had some interesting takes in that video. Quinn always has interesting takes, though. That's what makes him unique. He's always got interesting takes. I might not always agree with him. But that's normal, right? I don't think I am a one-to-one of any creator in here that we all have the same thoughts, and that's a good thing. We all have our unique things that we like, things we don't like. Quinn might be a hardcore lover of the last two books, and that's fine. I would love A Song of Ice and Fire to be animated. I do think it would be good. Like, if you're going to redo it, I think that he should. We got Dakota flirting with Ashley, of course. I actually think from his comments that Ryan Condal intended to hand off the Hour of the Wolf to a successor showrunner. Not that is necessarily a problem. Have a sequel show. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. You don't want to like stretch out, and especially when you're going to be limited on episodes. And this is mainly because of HBO, I believe, Dragon, right? We're getting less episodes because of HBO specifically, I think. Not 100% on that, but it would make sense. I just think there's a lot you got to get through in 16 episodes. Kirsty, that definitely is possible. We might see some more of how that relationship continues on. I do agree, Matthew. I think Corlys could definitely be a strong character that they end out the show on. Is Dakota trying to undercut me? He was questioning your OG-ness earlier, Ashley. Okay, here we go, JC, with his bed comments. Okay. You know what? Maybe I will. Maybe one day, this is what's going to happen one day. One day, instead of it being this setup, all it's going to be is when you go back to my commentary where I don't have like images of or stuff, it's just going to be in my bed. And I'm just going to talk over it. Maybe for the rereads, for you like lovers of seeing my unmade bed, I'll make that the reread background. It'll just be like, it won't be the background, but it'll be like a little like portion of the frame. So it'll put you guys in the mood that it's time to sleep. I never troll. That is just slander. Dakota, that is a lie. You've told me before that you like to troll. That's your love language. I have to go soon. By the way, good news from Wales Filming. It appears they are actually filming the fish feed as a major action piece at a quarry. Where that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Dragon. We'd love to see that. We definitely want to see fish feed, so that's awesome. Good news to see. Thank you for stopping in. I don't know if you're not in here at this moment, because again, I'm 6 years behind in chat, but yeah. Oh, you know what, guys? I've been really wanting to do a house peek video. Here's the problem. So if I did a house peek video, it would do bad. It would do really bad. Is that going to stop me from making it at some point? No. I will make it at some point. It's just when I feel like I want to. I want to do a house peek video similar to how I did like a House Velaryon video. I did a House Velaryon and like a House Hightower video in between season 1 and season 2 with their history. I want to do that for house peek. I know everybody, we hate on house peek, which understandable. They killed, the one true king in Maekar, but I think there's an interesting house given how powerful they start out at. Last of Us Season 2 is the first half of the second game. Okay, so if they do a Season 3, it's going to be the second half, I'm assuming. That is a very jarring choice, I will say. Cannibal, here's the thing. You just got to say, George, finish the book. How is anybody going to find out exactly, what happened to me if you don't finish the darn book? We're indeed all different. You like Rhaenyra, Becky hates Jaime, and I like Sansa the character. That's a good clarification. Where did this pencil come from? See, this is sometimes where I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, I like to like meddle with things while I'm talking. You guys know this when I record and you see my hands just like doing random hand signs at you guys. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, also, JC, you see, I like that you strategically said Sansa, because that's an acceptable thing. A lot of people hate Sansa, but you didn't say Daenerys. JC, you're a Daenerys hater, okay? That's your title. But, Sansa, solid pick as well, I guess. Ricky, who does Ricky hate that, like, people get on him about? I'm trying to think of, like, Ricky's, like, most hated character that is, like, a hot take. We'll just say Ricky shits on Fire and Blood all the time, so Ricky just has no opinions here. Yeah, so I wonder, Dragon, how many episodes season 4 is going to be. I know, like, between season, like right after season 2, there were rumors that it was going to be, like, both were going to be 8. But I wonder what they're going to do for 4, if that's not confirmed. Also, guys, I have been watching Dexter for the first time. I got through the first season over the last couple days. I do like Dexter. It's very interesting. I will say the twists in season 1 anyway. I don't know if it's my Game of Thrones brain that's been like just trained to understand plot twists. Didn't fool me. But we'll see. We'll see going forward. I genuinely want to see what. Can I see my moderator list? Community moderation. Can I? Oh shit! That took me to a whole different other page. I just want to see. I'm curious. I want to see like who is my oldest mod that I see like that's active. It's probably Ashley though. It's this is taking so long. Why did it take me to my channel dashboard? What? YouTube is a special place. That's all I'll say. It's a special website. Sometimes it doesn't like to work. All right, so managing moderators. Okay, can I see who's been here the longest? I don't think so. Oh, so Jahara Snow, I know you've been a mod for a long ass time. And the Young Wolf, I know you both have been mods for a long time. But yeah, okay. All right, interesting. It didn't tell me what I wanted it to actually tell me, but that was interesting. I got to see my mods. JC is a Daenerys disliker. Hey, everybody's got their thing. Everybody tell me what character you hate in the chat. This is a judge-free zone. As you guys know, I never judge your opinions. I never tell you that your guys' opinions are wrong. Just tell me. I need to find sheets for my bed. That's fair, Cannibal. That's fair. Bedtime stories with ASMR. Oh, boy. Well, mayhaps. Got to dip out. Everyone take care. Thanks for the engaging stream. And no problem, Matthew. Thank you for being here, as always. I'm here, but need to leave to edit soon. Well, good luck with editing. Thank you for the re-membership, Matthew. Or becoming a member.
From the realm of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch.
I like this. I like this like alert, but I think it's too long. I think I might change that membership thing because it just takes too long. Like I like what it's saying, because it makes sense. Like they're joining the Night's Watch. You guys are joining being a member. Thank you, by the way, Matthew. But I think it's just a little too long. I think it's a little too long. Do you think season 3 will be another letdown with all the changes? It's too early to know. But I think the average fan, I'm talking about your average person that hears, oh, the Dragon show's back on, or oh, the Game of Thrones other show is on. Let's give it a watch. Like I think those people will really like season 3 because I think season 3 is going to be the opposite of season 2 in terms of like it's a lot of like character work. It's a lot of maneuvering. Season 3 should be a lot more of like, okay, everything's exploding. The war is happening. Everything that you were promised from the end of season 1, it's happening. So I don't think so. I think for fans, like hardcore fans like myself, there's probably a good, well, I don't think it's going to disappoint me though. Like I don't think, like if the show is not good, it's not going to disappoint me because I'm already at a place where I don't enjoy the show as much anymore. So that it'll just continue how I already feel. So I guess the show can only go up for me. I say that now, but it could go further. It could go a lot further because there were good things about season 2. You could make a house peak video for members only. That way you don't have to worry about them. That's a good idea. And you know what? And a lot of my members are like the Frey cult followers. They'll like a peak video. That's a good idea. Harold Westerling doesn't exist. That guy is somebody. He's somebody. What do you think of Rhaenyra Velaryon? No real strong thoughts. I don't hate her. I don't hate her. But, gotta love the Daenerys disliker. Ricky hates House Frey, and that is unacceptable. Well, here's the problem, Dakota. A lot of people don't like House Frey. That's the problem. Okay, Dragon. Okay. This is good information. Good information to know. Good luck on the filming reports and all that stuff, Dragon. Thank you for stopping in. Just remember, Harold Westerling does not exist. Don't make me scream as loud as Lysa. Oh, don't say that to Dakota. We might have to end the stream there because that's not what I want to see. I agree, Mats, though. I do think it's going to take a lot for it to be better, to like improve and get us to a place that is better than where season 2 was. You could do The King in the North Arises. Well, no, but see, then that's lying to you guys because then you guys think you guys are like kings or something. No. Like you're going from, so right now, if you're not a member or a mod, You're like an average civilian. You're an average person in Westeros. And then you become a member or a mod. If you become both, you're basically like a high lord. But you rank up, right? It's pay to win, right? It's pay to win. So like, for instance, Maz is like the captain of my Kingsguard. I'm the king. Okay. There's no other kings. There's no other queens. That's no. So yeah. That was a very random tangent. Catelyn, okay, Ashley, calm down. Calm down. Don't forget to like the stream. Danny disliker right here. We love to see it. We love to see it. I'm not a Danny hater, but I get it. I hate Sam, book and show. Tell me how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel. So, see, Ashley, I specifically did not mention Darkstar because I knew it would upset you. I tried to be thoughtful and not make you upset, but you've upset yourself. Daenerys is like Rhaenyra. They are perceived as heroes in beginning, like Rhaenyra's realm's delight, but made ruthless in the end, and that's what they're doing. Did D&D get idea at the end from Rhaenyra's story? Mayhaps. My least favorite character is genuinely Arya Hoda for being so boring. I get that. I definitely get that. I completely get that. 100%. House Frey sucks. Oh boy. If you're not a member, you're flea bot. Whoa. No. Unless you like Ned and Ashara, then yes. If you like Ned and Ashara, you're like the stable hand or boy that Arya kills. We're going off the rails. All right. But yeah, no problem. I hope you guys all enjoyed the stream. That's where I'm gonna leave it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was both mixed, positive, negative, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.